I really want to sort of just lay the foundations of what's going on with Couch to 5K these days. There's more people running now than ever. You've probably noticed around the streets of Cheltenham, and Facebook's really helped. Social media's really helped in terms of getting people, their pictures out and into the public. You see photos of people with their medals having done their first 10K half marathon. I think it's really inspired a lot of people to get out running. In the past, if you can imagine, a lot of running events were set up or organised by running clubs. So if you can imagine, a running club might set up an event, and they might get some permission from the council to run an event, but usually it's country roads, and they can only really cater for maybe 500, 800 people sort of as a maximum. So as you can imagine, the people that enter those events tend to be quite fast, especially back when the Couch to 5K was actually originally kind of invented back in the 90s. We didn't have these big events companies which were organising the running events. Okay, now you've got these big events companies that need to get as many people into these events as possible, and they don't care how unfit you are. They want to get as many people paying their entry fee as possible, because that's how they make their money, right? And that's been great for running in general. Okay, it's meant that we've got more people participating in running events than ever before. Park runs also really helped the situation. Okay, we've got all around the country, and in fact all around the world now. Park run, if you haven't heard of it, it's basically a free 5K running event that takes place every Saturday morning. So the barriers to entry are very low, and they do have all sorts of abilities there. There's people pushing buggies, so it's great. There's more people running than ever. So have many of you tried Couch to 5K before? Hands up. Any Couch to 5K app? Cool. A few of you more? Yeah, used an app of some sort, maybe the NHS Couch to 5K. Typically they're all using the same original program, and again that was really kind of thought up back in the 90s. Okay, and it helped a lot of people who obviously weren't running very far to run 5K. But if you think back then in the 90s, a lot of people, as I say, the events weren't really catering, unless you were a really big event like London Marathon. They weren't necessarily set up for people who were just not really doing anything with themselves physically. They're mostly sedentary. Okay, so if you've done that up, assuming that you haven't actually managed to finish it, like a lot of our members haven't. Okay, they've got stuck at week 4 or had to repeat certain weeks. The reason for that is usually because it's not actually really that good for people that have been sedentary, for years. Okay, and there are a lot of people out there that have been sedentary. They've not been running or playing any sports for years and years and years, and therefore their ability to just go out and run for 4 minutes non-stop or 5 minutes non-stop is actually, it's not there. Now it could be there if they learned how to do it properly, how to slow themselves down and stop their lungs from burning so early on. But the Couch 5K doesn't really teach you about pacing. The NHS and the worldwide Couch 5K, there's no real mention of this is how you stick to the right speed. This is how you figure out what that speed is. So there's no surprise really for me that there are so many people that fail to finish the Couch to 5K. So what stops people running 5K? Can we have anyone volunteer a reason that you don't get through the app?
I was doing it on my own.
Yep, okay, cool. So a lack of support or a lack of motivation, or what was it, do you think?
Lack of motivation.
Yeah, it certainly helps to have other people to run with. Anyone else? Anything else?
Injury.
Yeah, so injuries. Yeah, cool. And again, the app doesn't have anything about preventing injury, does it?
No.
So it's not your fault. You just did what it said. Anyone else?
You no idea what speed you're going at?
Yeah, it's lovely to have someone talk to you, a celebrity talking to you while you run, but they're not actually telling you how fast to go and how fast you are going. And I mean, time after time, that is really the biggest thing that we find is when we actually put a GPS watch on someone or tell them how to use a phone app, a free phone app that they can attach to their arm and just check their speed every now and then. It just makes them slow down. It helps them to slow down. It's like being on a treadmill. If someone was to put you on a treadmill and put the perfect target speed for your current fitness, and you just had to keep up with that treadmill, you're going to last a lot longer than if you have to try and figure it out for yourself and just do it by feel. Even very experienced runners run too fast in their races. Okay, very experienced runners, and a lot of them, they're targeting this great time, but maybe they haven't quite got the ability to hit that, or more importantly, they might target a certain time, but they'll start the first half of the race at a speed which is much faster. So that if they could hold that speed, they'd smash the time that they want to hit. But actually, if they were to start the race at the speed that will allow them to hit that time, then they'd have an amazing race and potentially even go faster at the end of it because they've got something left. But what I'm saying is that if experienced runners run too fast, then there's no surprise that beginners are going to run too fast and crash and burn. Right? And we've all felt it, no matter how experienced you are with running. If you've gone out for a run at some stage, you will have run too quick and just felt your lungs burning. It might be your throat if it's cold. That would be usually the biggest obstacle to people finishing their Couch 5K program or having to repeat weeks, is that their lungs are just burning and they can't understand why, and they just think that they're not very fit and maybe not fit enough to finish the app. So we address that just simply by slowing people down. The last run in the Couch to 5K program, the NHS one, it's 30 minutes and you're supposed to cover 5 kilometers. So in order to do that, the average speed is 10 kilometers per hour. Okay, if you can run 5 kilometers at 10 kilometers per hour, you should never have been doing a Couch to 5K app. You should have just been running at like 8 kilometers an hour or 9 kilometers an hour, and you still would have probably, after a couple of weeks, been able to run non-stop for 5K. No problems whatsoever. And that's where a lot of people would have been in, when the Couch to 5K app was first invented, that people were already, racing around a tennis court or playing football, but they couldn't figure out how to run non-stop because, when you play sport, it's all or nothing, right? You get to rest and then you go hard again. When running, you can't afford to do that. You can't afford to just bolt off because you've got to sustain for the whole distance. So I think that's part of the reason why our Couch 5K has done so well. We've recently got over 100 people through our program and running 5K non-stop, and a lot of those have gone on to run 10Ks and half marathons. In fact, we've got one, Emily, who just finished our Couch to 5K plan in July, and she's just run Cheltenham half marathon the other day. So, in fact, I think it's worth a round of applause. So, Kerry, you came to us as a thought to be Couch to 5K, or were you already running more
I
than...
was already running, but
Yeah.
I couldn't control my pace. I had no idea how to pace myself.
Yeah.
So I was just going out for a run, burning out after so many minutes, and then dying and kind of having to walk.
Yeah.
Joining the club taught me how to pace and slow down and, do the whole distance. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's brilliant. So, has anyone tried running with a group? So whether it be a running club or another group,